Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet. In a historic breakthrough, Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire under President Trump's 20-point plan, pausing the two-year war that claimed over 67,000 lives and paving the way for hostage releases and troop withdrawals. In Tel Aviv's Hostages Square, tearful families lit flares and embraced one another, crying, and I quote, "I can't breathe from joy. My son is coming home." Across Gaza's rubble-strewn streets in Khan Yunis, displaced Palestinians erupted in applause and chants of relief. World leaders swiftly reacted. Trump hailed it as a tremendous win. Netanyahu's team ratified it amid cautious optimism, while EU's von der Leyen welcomed the major diplomatic accomplishment for aid and reunions. Speaking about world leaders' reactions coming in, let's take a look at some more of the reactions that have come in, and then of course we will speak with our esteemed guests. I'm going to go to the big screen and in fact show you who said what. The world has reacted to this ceasefire. Of course, Donald Trump, who's taken the onus for this ceasefire, goes on to say Israel and Hamas have both signed, and there is going to be an end to hostilities. They have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. Donald Trump said that he had been working on it since a very, very long time, and it's finally come through. And of course, he's also taken credit for both the parties coming onto the table along with Qatar and working this deal out. All of the hostages will be released very soon. What does very soon mean? We don't know, but that's the way Donald Trump speaks. And Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line, and all the hostages will be released. There will be a cessation of hostilities. Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, went on to say, with the approval of the first phase of the plan, all our hostages will be brought home, is what Mr. Netanyahu has said. He also went on to say, with the approval of the first phase of the plan, all our hostages will be brought home, and this is good news. And in fact, we spoke about it earlier as well. This is a diplomatic success and a national and moral victory for the state of Israel. And the good news is that the killing is going to stop, the war is going to stop. And Hamas has also made a statement saying that we highly appreciate the efforts of our brothers and mediators in Qatar, Egypt and Turkey for bringing about this effort together. We value the efforts of US President Donald Trump aimed at ending the war completely. That's a big statement to make. Is the war going to be ending completely? Prime Minister Modi of India also said, we welcome the agreement on the first phase of President Trump's peace plan. And this is just the first phase, and this is a very good point that the Prime Minister of India has made, that there will be subsequent phases as well. And of course, both the parties will be expected to honor their end of the bargain. Hope the enhanced humanitarian assistance to people of Gaza will bring respite to them, as there is a humanitarian crisis brewing in Gaza for a very, very long time. Majid Al-Ansari, the foreign minister of Qatar, went on to say, will lead to ending the war, the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners is what's at stake here. Mr. Erdogan, the president of Turkey, also said that I extend my sincere gratitude to US President Donald Trump, is all that Mr. Erdogan had to say about the ceasefire which has been achieved between Israel and Gaza. Of course, the world has positively reacted to this. What becomes of this process and how smoothly it's going to be carried out. Mr. Erdogan also went on to say, thank you Qatar and Egypt for the significant support in reaching the agreement. Of course, Qatar has played a very important role. Egypt, of course, was another stakeholder here. Mr. Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, he said that this offers a semblance of hope after months of unbearable suffering and devastation. So Israel-Gaza ceasefire being welcomed by Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister of Australia as well, who went on to say, hope we can break this cycle of violence and build something better. All right, well, all these countries have been proponents of peace, and peace is what has been promised by Donald Trump. And we're going to ask some big questions now to our guest. Joining us at this point in time is Mr. Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce. He is joining us all the way from Washington, D.C. Anat Bernstein-Reich, President of the Israel-Asia Chamber of Commerce. She joins us from Tel Aviv. Mr. Ali Mohammed Abushbak, independent Palestinian researcher. He's joining us all the way from Cairo, Egypt. All right, Mr. Vickery, I'll begin with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, apart from Hamas and to a large extent Mr. Netanyahu and the Israelis, the one person who's going to be really happy is Donald Trump, who's taken credit for this peace deal. We'll talk about whether, how difficult this is going to be, or is this going to end all hostilities. But is this something that definitely will bring about that coveted Nobel Peace Prize for the President of the United States?
Well, thanks very much for having me. A peace like war must be waged, and you have to have a strategy and you have to have partners. It does seem that President Trump has learned that lesson over the past 9 months or so, and he has at last involved partners and has a strategy in terms of a 20-point plan. It remains to be seen, of course, whether the ceasefire will hold. It is to be welcomed. The extent of devastation you've just pointed out, under official figures, more than 67,000 people killed, about a third or half of them being women and children. Complete rubble situation in Gaza. So now the question is, how will you go forward? It is not going to be sufficient for the president simply to say, give me the Nobel Peace Prize and everything is going to be great. It is going to take a concerted effort, again with strategy and with partners, to be able to fulfill other parts of the 20-point plan. Namely, aid, reconstruction. There's widespread famine now in Gaza. The healthcare system has been completely destroyed. Children haven't been to school in over 2 years. So there is very, very much to be done. And it will require not only the kind of strategy and partners, but a willingness for President Trump just not to say, hey, it's all due to me, give me the Nobel Peace Prize. There are many other considerations around the world. We here in the United States, of course, are very much concerned about the level of democracy and sending troops into our cities. Nevertheless, having this been said, we hope that there is a path forward. There has to be some representation of the Palestinians, either in a two-state solution or something which gives them some hope. You can't go back to the status quo. The status quo has been completely destroyed by these hostilities, and there is a long and winding road ahead. Nevertheless, as Winston Churchill said, it is better to jaw than war. And most of all, it is important for the President of the United States to realize and not claim credit for everything that goes on. It takes a group concerted effort to do this, involving other great democracies, involving a willingness to step back and give credit to others, as opposed to saying it's just one person doing this.
You're absolutely right, sir. Let me also rope in Anat Bernstein into this conversation. Anat, very simple question for you. How fragile is this peace agreement between both these countries? Because, of course, when it comes to Hamas, there is this huge trust deficit which Israel has had for decades now, and Hamas has always exploited that and broken that trust. How, palpable is this deficit today in the face of this peace process?
So it's definitely fragile because we're not done yet. We're just starting the first phase, and we can hear Hamas saying Bibi is trying to temper the agreement now and so on. On the other hand, we have the patrons of this pact, which it looks that they are very committed. So when you have Turkey and you have Qatar and Egypt allegedly in Hamas side, and they are committed to the process, and where you have the US on the other side committed, there are good chances that as long as the patrons will continue being involved and not step back too soon, there are good chances that it will go to the next phases. But those patrons should be committed for the long term. And maybe it's good that Trump is not getting tomorrow the Nobel Prize and it will be postponed for next year, because he will have 1 year to really fulfill his mission to bring peace to this region.
Okay. Let me also rope in Ali Mohammed Abushbak into this conversation. Ali Mohammed, appreciate you joining us. Well, you know, to cut a long story short, it's important to understand that any peace process is not going to be a walk in the park. You know, it's perhaps going to be replete with negotiations. It's going to be full of back and forth, backdoor discussions on the smallest of activity and nitty-gritties. And we should all brace for that. And there is no harm in expecting that there will be areas both the parties may not completely agree upon.
Thank you, Vineet. The thing is, first of all, it's not a peace plan. This is the peace plan. It's between two states. The negotiation, it's between Palestinian function, Hamas. It's not representing the whole Palestinian people in Gaza and West Bank, even in the East Jerusalem. It's just only Palestinian function. Second, there is no represent for the Palestinian Authority as the legal, according to all international community, to represent the Palestinian people. So the thing is, this is, in my opinion, it's just only demanding for the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel. About this thing, about the negotiation, according to everyone, it's nowadays it's indirect negotiation between Hamas and Israel delegation in Sharm el-Sheikh. So there is a no direct negotiation between Hamas and Israel, and this is one of the Hamas fate, not talking directly with Israel, because they consider it as one of their principles. So the thing is about on the ground, about the rule of Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, they will give Hamas a guarantee about the Israelis not going to resume the war and not sabotaging the ceasefire again, like what we have witnessed last month, like in January and March. These things that need willingness from the Israeli side. It needs some serious part to hold and to stop this war and to closure this chapter and the conflict between Palestinian and Israel. In my opinion, we have seen both community. They are agree and they are ready for peace coexistence between both of them. We have seen Palestinian, they talked to the street yesterday night, and Israelis community talked to the Israeli yesterday night for peace. And they are celebrating when Hamas accepted the first phase of negotiation and of this deal. So this is giving us to result both of them, both of community. They want to live in peace, but who doesn't want only politician? From both of sides, I'm not defending Hamas here, because Hamas also last times also they are attacking Israel, and everyone knows that. But we can't blame only Hamas. The situation in Gaza before 7th of October, it was incredible. Up to now also, it's incredible. So about the peace, Hamas can't be a part of the peace between Palestinian and Israel, since Hamas is not representing all the Palestinian. It's Islamic group, and they are representing themselves. And when they are negotiating with Israel, they are negotiating with regard the Israeli captive. They are holding them. So here is the significant point. After that, after this deal, and who's ruling Gaza, who will be controlling Gaza, here's the things. Here's the significant point. about the peace mentality in both of sides. We have seen the Israelis ministry in like Smotrich and Ben Gvir. They are calling for resume the war after releasing the captive from Gaza. This is the question, and this is making a significant point about the Israeli intents. Is Benjamin Netanyahu is going to do whatever Smotrich and Ben Gvir they want? By the way, both of them, they are, as I mentioned many times, they are infamous politician in Israeli community. They have no supporter, and in coming election, they will not win in the voice of the Israelis people. So here is the significant point, B.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we have latest news coming in from Israel. A government spokesperson has stated that US President Donald Trump is most likely to be in Jerusalem this week. Of course, Donald Trump taking this peace plan very, very seriously. Mr. Vikri, what do you make of this? Donald Trump, by character and by disposition, is not someone who would be hands-on getting into this this kind of a negotiation. It's really going on to say that he wants this done.
Well, I think it's a good thing that he wants it done, and it's a good thing that he evidently has some instincts for peace. But the past approach of President Trump has been that of a real estate developer who, instead of trying to build relationships, is trying to come out on top in a particular transaction. This is not that kind of a situation. That's what he tried the first time around in regard to the Gaza situation. So it's fine for him to go, but if he makes the kinds of statements that he is prone to make, that he is responsible for peace, that his tariff policies have produced this. You know, he's already claimed that he solved the situation between India and Pakistan by imposing tariffs, which is just not true. And he says that tariffs were good in terms of this agreement. Well, I don't believe that they played much of a positive role, period. So will President Trump go and do something other than that which he has usually done, which has been self-aggrandizement and trying to promote himself? He has made some progress, it seems to me, in his approach to Gaza thus far. But if he goes and does what he has done in the past, claim credit for everything, and not realize the overarching issues of what happens in regard to Palestinian peace and representation, the governance going forward, the redevelopment, then it's not going to work. You will recall that President Biden went to Israel shortly after the horrible events of October 7, 2023. But that really didn't produce anything going forward. So Donald Trump is a great showman. He's been a TV star for 14 years. And that is the approach which he's taken in the past. He's going to have to grow as a leader and a human being for this to be able to, for his trip this time to produce anything more than it has in the past. Nevertheless, hope springs eternal, and his involvement is good. One of the problems has been in the past he tends to grow tired of things when they're not going his way and move on to something else that he thinks will give him credit. Let's hope that's not one of these situations.
All right, fair enough. Mr. Vikri, always a pleasure having you, and would also like to thank all our guests who were a part of this important discussion. And like everybody else, we really hope we see this peace process through and through. We take a short break. We'll be right back.
सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार।